CBS News senior crime and public safety producer Anna Schecter joins us live right now. And Anna, what is the latest you're hearing about this suspect and what else was found in his car?
Well, we just learned that there were explosives in the car in addition to him having an AR-style rifle. So the car actually exploded and his body was badly burned. So that has delayed the confirmation of his identification. We still do not have an ID. Of course, law enforcement has already looked at an ID of the who's connected to the vehicle registration. So hopefully within an hour or two we'll be able to confirm the identity of the suspect. But the fact that there were explosives in the car speaks to more planning. This was a planned, targeted attack. It's being investigated as an act of terrorism. And Mugo, I should say it is the second act of terrorism today that the FBI is investigating. There was a shooting down in Norfolk, Virginia, and we have ID'd the suspect as Mohammed Jallo, who in 2016 pled guilty to attempt to provide material support to ISIS. So it is just a wild series of events and just so terrifying for the families up in Michigan. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but down in Virginia, there were 3 victims, and the students at Old Dominion University there in Norfolk actually helped to subdue the suspect. And so that is likely what saved more lives. It could have been much worse. So this is one day with a lot of terrible news, Mugo.
Yeah, and speaking of that situation in Virginia and also the one in Michigan, you have to be thankful for the people around who acted very quickly, especially as you mentioned that man in Michigan had explosives in his car. That could have been horrible. It could have ended horribly for a lot of people.
It could have been much worse, and thankfully the security guard was well trained and immediately neutralized the suspect with gunfire. And we know from the FBI Detroit in January, they had just run trainings with this very security team and with synagogues and Jewish centers in the area. They were already on heightened threat alert, and thankfully they had a well-planned security plan. But we did hear that a security guard was injured, was hit by a vehicle and knocked out, and was being treated at a local area hospital. So there was one injury, but thankfully none of the children or staff at that synagogue, which is also a school and a community center, thankfully none of them were injured.
Yeah, and Anna, speaking of that preparation and being ready for something like this, the sheriff of Oakland County, Michigan says they train regularly for active shooter situations. What does that typically look like?
Well, you have the run, hide, fight. That is the new directive, and we've learned this. The law enforcement community has learned this over years, unfortunately, of increased number of mass shooting events in this country. So you want to run, get out of the way. If you cannot do that, hide or barricade yourself in a safe place. And if that doesn't work and you are forced to confront the shooter, then you fight. Wow. Now, in this case, this was a very specific type of attack, a vehicle ramming attack where the truck was actually, the suspect's vehicle was able to get actually inside through glass and drive partially down the hallway. You can imagine. And then the car exploded, and that is why you saw those black plumes of smoke, because the car exploding started a fire inside that facility.
Anna, we know several Jewish organizations, they went into lockdown today. Are you hearing any other bulletins or even warnings from the FBI about further threats?
Well, we don't have, at this time, I don't have any indication that there are serious, specific, credible threats to other locations, but an alert has gone out to not just synagogues, but also churches, mosques, other cultural centers, religious institutions that might be soft targets. They are all on heightened alert. And then you see these police departments can get spread thin because you want that physical presence as a deterrent. So even here in New York City, you see more squad cars out in front of mosques, synagogues, churches, and it just stretches the department thin in case there is a real life threat it can be tough because you've already deployed a lot of your resources. Now, New York City has a huge department, but a place like West Bloomfield, Michigan, I mean, they've got good law enforcement coverage. There's a county sheriff's department, a local police department, and you have Detroit nearby. You had state police nearby. So they had a pretty good plan in place with a lot of resources. But there are, more rural areas where you might have a cultural center that could be a soft target, and you just don't have the same number of resources. And that is a concern to law enforcement.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Again, as we said, this could have ended horribly, and we're just glad that this is the story we're telling today. Anna Schecter, thank you so much for your reporting.